What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Devy YouTube channel. We are talking about the 2024 class here on this channel. We're kind of breaking into guys because there's only so much we could talk about 23 class anymore. We're done with them. They're going to get drafted, but let's look forward, right? So on this channel, we've been going through it. I talked about J.J. McCarthy. Christian has talked about Caleb Williams and Travion Henderson and Drake Maye. And today, we're going to be looking at another 2024 quarterback, and that's Quinn Ewers from Texas. So we're going to be looking at Quinn Ewers from Texas. What can he look like? Can he lead that team to a Big 12 championship? Will he be able to improve his draft stock for next season? We're going to be looking at all of that and above on this episode today. So, hey, when that intro is going, hit that like and subscribe button, and we will dive right into it. All right, let's get into this, baby. Let's see what Quinn Ewers can do. So we're going to do a breakdown. And on all of these, I like to do a breakdown of all kinds of different stuff here, right? So when we're looking at all these things, we're going to be looking at numbers, film, kind of what we want to see from them. We're going to do a depth chart breakdown. And we're going to be also looking at what Texas has to offer, right? So let's look by the numbers. Now, before I get some trolls in the comments that I had from this last video about PFF's grades, I know that PFF's grades aren't the do and die. We understand that. We're smart football fans. However, it does give us a solid foundation just to look at. And then we tie the film into it, and then we get the whole picture. We're supposed to be smart here, right? So we're going to look at everything, and obviously everything needs context. So let's just chill before you get in the comments yelling me about PFF, right? So let's look at the numbers for him. Let's just go through overall. Let's just look at the passing and rushing, just the box score scouting, right? So let's just take a look. 172 for 296, 58% completion percentage. Not amazing. Not what you want to see there. He had 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions on the year. Not going to be a rushing threat. Now, his best game presumably probably was the Alabama first half until he got injured game. He came out against Oklahoma basically a month later. He had 289 yards and 4 touchdowns. Looked really good. And in Iowa State, he looked very good as well, kind of. He struggled with his accuracy there, but he did have the numbers that you like to see. And then it kind of got progressively worse. And what we saw from him, and as you can see here, the offensive grade was fine. 72.4, you like that. He actually had a very good big-time throw percentage. From what you like from PFF standards and where it was at, 6.3%. The problem with Ewers last year, from what we have saw, it was his inconsistency and his turnover-worthy play percentage, right? 3.6%. You saw him throw 3 interceptions at Oklahoma State, just not consistently accurate enough. So from the numbers perspective, when you look at under pressure, what his offensive grade was is 38.4. That is not a good number. That is not a good area that you want to see there. So when he got pressured, he really struggled under that pressure. And that is something that you did see from the film and from the tape. So before you yell at the grades, it was there. Now, Texas offensive line should be better this year. So when we're looking at that, when we're trying to project forward, like that's something that he's going to actually, I think, benefit from. So maybe that under pressure grade is going to go up. But that is where he definitely struggled at, right? So by the numbers, when you're just looking at it by the numbers, you see kind of where the holes are, right? And again, remember, he was a younger quarterback. He came into Ohio State 2 years ago, basically re-enrolled, reclassified himself, didn't play, transferred to Texas. So last year was really his first year in 2 years playing. So like when we're talking about Ewers, there's context needed in all of these things. He didn't play amazing, but there's context needed, right? Now, when we're looking overall, let's take a look at the film. So when we're talking about the film, break it down and what he does really well from a quarterback perspective. Arm strength allows him to hit all areas of the field, right? So like he has that, and he's had that since freaking high school. This dude's got a howitzer. He can spread it around, and he's going to be able to hit it to all areas of the field. That is the area that I think that Quinn Ewers really excels at, but I also think that NFL teams are going to like. So when we're talking from an NFL projection, they're going to really, really like that about him. Now, he's got good zip. I think he's got good velocity. He can really get it out there. It's pretty, when you're looking at that, like he can get the ball out. When he makes the right reads and he can fit it in the tight windows, that's what his strength is at, right? That is where it's going to be. Now, I also think from an intangibles perspective, he really has all the intangibles you want. He's a really good leader. And I think remember, he came into last year and to blame him for what maybe Texas was. Texas was supposed to be back last year, right? We hear that all the time. I think that's a misnomer. I don't think that's something that we should blame him for. He was still learning the system. He was still learning how to be a quarterback last year, and he was asked to do a lot of different things on that team. And I think that's the kicker there. So I think he's a good leader. Now, the Cover 3 podcast, I love those guys. They talked about him. He shaved his mullet, showed leadership, showed like, hey, it's all business. And I think what you saw from the spring game, so if you watch the spring game where he played really well, he's had a really good spring. I think that he realizes this is time. This is business time. I need to develop. And I think he's coming into this offseason, and they said that he looks stronger. He looks like he's in better shape. I think he's learning that. I think he's hit those intangibles. I think he's maturing as a quarterback, as a kid in college, and he realizes he's got to take that next step, right? Can't go 8-4 again. They got to go take that next step. And I think that is where he has to improve, right? That's where he's going to improve. Now, if we're looking at improvement areas, so what are some things that he's going to improve? We want to see improvement. Now, I will say he has shown some improvement just based on his spring game. And based on some of the reports out there, I think he has shown this. So where is his improvements area? Downfield accuracy and touch. I think that when you're looking at it, he can get it to all areas of the field. It's just inconsistent, right? And when we're talking about like deep balls, he has the strength for a deep ball. I think where we look at is the accuracy on the deep balls. I think those are the two differences there that you have to look at. And I think that is kind of like he's got to improve that. Decision making. I think he's got to make better reads within the offense. I thought there was a lot of like, and again, to preface this, before I get Texas fans mad at me, I watch these guys a lot. Like that's one of my highlights as a dad now, and just as a guy, is like film is my safe haven. I love watching film at night, putting my girls down and watching these guys. And one thing that I saw from Ewers progressively as he went through the season, a lot of it in Sark's offense was a lot of one read and getting the ball to just wherever he could go. And I will say though, he made a lot of great throws to a lot of his receivers, and even Jatavian Sanders, a really good tight end, and there was a lot of drops. So I don't necessarily know how like his accuracy and stuff could be just attributed to him. I do think that when you're looking at drop percentage and everything on the Texas wide receiver room and the tight end room, that's a real thing. Okay. Now, you also need to see his mechanics under pressure. We need to see him play better under pressure. And I think his mechanics definitely wane a little bit. I think the game that stands out to me about his mechanics that I saw probably the worst mechanics from him, the Oklahoma State game. I thought he kind of got exposed in that game. I thought they should have won that game. They lost 41-34. And like the numbers wise, he was 19 for 49 in that game. He was under pressure a lot. And I think that is the game that really stood out to me about his mechanics. I think that was the struggle for him. And they had a chance to still win it. He played probably the worst game I've ever seen, and he was still there. He still was able to take them there. He just didn't deliver, right? And I think the mechanics under pressure is the real thing you got to look at. Now, what are we looking for in 2023? So what are we looking for in terms of him as a quarterback and where he can excel at when we go forward on him as like a prospect? Improve under pressure. Mentioned that already. Shows improved pre-snap reads. I would love to see him kind of get through the pre-snap process a little bit more, changing plays, kind of give him that freedom. I think Sark will give him that freedom there. But like, hey, how well is he going to do there? Will he improve there? Progressions too. So really under that notion of like, hey, he's got a hell of a receiving core this year. Like probably the best Texas has been for a long time. I love the receiving core. We're going to dive into the depth chart here in a minute. But when we're looking at Texas's receiving core, it's solid. So work through your progressions, get it to your best athletes, right? And then can he lead the team to a Big 12 title game? They were very close last year, and we know that. Can he go get it? Can he go win that damn thing? Right. And if he does that, Texas should be right there in the playoff hunt. If he can go out there, they beat Oklahoma and they kind of have that area. If he can get them to a Big 12 title game, why can't they beat TCU from last year? Right. I think they have that ability. Defense has got to get shored up a little bit, but can Ewers do that? Can Ewers lead them to there? Now, when we're looking at what their depth chart looks like, and again, I would be remiss not to say this is part of our page for our Patreon. If you check that out, we do all of these depth charts for the entire Power 5 every year. It's $3 below with all kinds of college football and dynasty content like fantasy. But anyway, this is kind of what you're looking at with their depth chart. Quinn Ewers is there. Arch Manning is looming, right? So we haven't had the Arch Manning conversation. I think Malik Murphy's right there. This is necessarily like the full picture, I think Malik's probably QB3 now, QB2 from where you're looking at it. Arch Manning, it looks like he's probably going to redshirt. That's the word. But hey, this is kind of where that depth chart looks like. But when you're looking at running backs and wide receivers, Jonathan Brooks is really underrated. Keelan Robinson's even more underrated. Jaden Blue's right there. Cedric Baxter's a dude. He was running the ones in the spring game. You like to see that. Then at the wide receiver position. So we got Xavier Worthy. Okay, Adonai Mitchell, transfer. Jordan Whittington. Isaiah Neyor is one guy that you have to know. Came out, had that fall injury last year. He's a guy there. But the guy that I absolutely love is Jonte Cook. Jonte Cook is going to be an absolute stud. I think he's going to challenge for targets in that offense as soon as this year. And he's going to be a good player for Ewers to kind of rely on. DeAndre Moore also looked good. You couldn't stop him. Jatavian Sanders looks like he could be a top 3 prospect to the tight end position. This offense is loaded. And their offensive line is going to be better as well. So when you're looking at that, like, I love Sark. I love where their offense is at. This offense is a playoff contending offense. This right here, if Ewers plays up to his potential, they could get the playoff if he plays up to that point. Like this offense alone, right? So you love that about way, yeah. And then you see like, hey, the advanced metrics on the bottom down there. Plays per game, what you looked at, pass percentage was not good, 70th. Rushing attempts per game was in the 66 mark. Obviously, Bijan Robinson was there. Average scoring margin was good. But again, they just kind of struggled against teams that they shouldn't have lost to. They should have beat Alabama. I think poor coaching decisions, that one. TCU 17-10. Offense didn't show up. If the offense shows up more games, they probably lose maybe one game. They could have easily gone undefeated last year and been TCU, right? So this is that offense and even better this year. I know they lost Bijan, but I think they're going to be more balanced in that running back attack, and you have those areas. Now, let's look at their schedule and just kind of look at their outlook. Rice, Alabama's the big one, right? So they're going to Alabama on 9-9. That's going to tell us what we need to know about Quinn Ewers. Is he going to step up and be there? Wyoming, Baylor, Kansas, Oklahoma is obviously the neutral game. Houston, BYU, Kansas State. We know the Big 12 schedule. We know what that kind of looks like. To me, Alabama, man, if he can go in there and beat Alabama, and that second week might be the week to do it. Alabama's quarterback room. Who the hell is going to be there? Rumors about Tyler Van Dyke from Miami, right? So, will they start Ty Simpson, Milroe? Where's that look at? Ewers, they have a potential to go in and upset Alabama on that second game of the year. And if he does that, his stock's going to shoot up, and Texas fans would be excited about that because we could potentially see him being that guy, right? And that is what you're looking for. So what do you think about Quinn Ewers in the comments? Let me know. Do you think he can take that next step, be that quarterback 3 of this class, or maybe he'll challenge Drake Maye for quarterback 2 in this class and kind of achieve that lofty recruiting number 1 prospect in his class area? Or do you think he could potentially struggle, maybe get kind of unseated, maybe Manning, or Malik Murphy in there? What do we think? Do we believe Texas is back? Can they do that? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you guys. As always, hit that like and subscribe button before you get out of here. I'll see you next time.